Welcome to the Final Fantasy I PSP version. Tournament race. Let me get the stream synced up here. Looks like Ood Sigma was froze on me just as we started. Once I get the stream synced up, alright, looks good. So we got Ood Sigma versus GreenCleric, and if you're familiar with the NES version, you might have seen that at the most recent GDQ. You're going to find a lot of differences in this. This is a remake for the PlayStation Portable. There were a couple of remakes of this game, but this is one of the most interesting ones to speedrun because of the equipment glitch, which is something that you're going to see these guys doing right here early in the game a couple of times. But it gives you access to some of the most powerful items in the game and really lets you break the experience curve, break the damage curve, break the money curve in ways that you can't in other versions of it. So it makes it a pretty interesting speedrun strategy-wise. But other than that, you're going to follow the same basic things that you see in pretty much any run of the game. You're going to visit things in about the same order. Give me a second, guys. I'm going to recapture the streams and see if we can fix some of the issues with the stream buffering here. Alright there, hopefully that should take care of it. So, as I was saying, we basically go through this game in the intended order. You start out by defeating Garland. That is the trigger to build this bridge here. Don't forget the loot. And you cross the bridge and you get this wonderful cutscene You don't see a lot of games where you get just 10 minutes into a game and suddenly the credits. But the next objective past this point is to get the pirate ship, because you start out on land and then you have the ability to go into the ocean, which then gets you the ability to go into rivers, which gets you the ability to go into the air. Unlike the NES version where you get encounters after a fixed number of steps and you know what the encounters are going to be based on what zone you're in this version of the game the encounters are very random. You can just get encounters step after step after step if the game's really giving you trouble. So that makes this game pretty random as far as speedruns go, and especially given the fact that you don't spend much time grinding, a lot of your time is going to come down to the encounter luck that you get, as opposed to, you know, how you optimize your grinding, your battles. In something like the NES Final Fantasy, you spend a considerable amount of time, 30 minutes or more, grinding, so that's a lot of time for your menu actions to really add up, and overall you're going to be spending a lot more time in battle in a game of that length. But here, because we cut out so much grinding, there's not really all that much that you can save time on besides just getting good luck with the encounters that you get, which ones are unrunnable, how long it takes you to get away, whether you have to heal in an unexpected spot because you got surprised by some enemies. And we see GreenCleric with the ship already in the lead. Ood Sigma has a better PB than GreenCleric, but you're going to see in the early game in all of these tournament matches that it's almost random who starts out with the lead. But this is an hour-and-a-half long game, and there's a lot of chance for optimization to take effect. And a lot of it is really just experience with knowing what to do when things go wrong. It's when you've played the game long enough, you start to learn what's the optimal way to compensate for things. And you've seen so many different, bad scenarios that you've had to improvise a lot of different ways. So these things aren't going to surprise you as much. And that's usually what happens in these races, and the players with the most experience do tend to win. But simply judging, PB against PB, that has not been a very strong predictor of the outcomes of these races. But overall speedrun experience with this game really shows. So GreenCleric ahead here. The first quest we do once we get the boat, that opens up a bunch of areas to you, but the thing that's critical right now is a trading quest. You have to go and get the crown. That crown gets you... it's the crystal in the NES game, and this, I think it's Matoya's Eye, and that gets you the herb, or they call it in this, something that revives the king. Sorry, I only know the NES games. They give you the herb, and the king gives you the key, and the key gives you access to the TNT, and that blasts open the peninsula that lets you outside of this little this pond that you start in, which gives you access to the rest of the game. Jolt Tonic, thank you. You'd think after I've casted enough of these I would know the proper PlayStation names. But to start this all out, you need the crown. And so GreenCleric is going to go into the Marsh Cave. And you have to fight a pack of Pisca demons. It's not really too tough a fight, given the equipment that these guys were able to get through the glitch. But there are a lot of pretty nasty encounters in here. And it's completely random what you get, so you're rolling the dice every single step you take. Alright, third floor. This is where we find the Pisca demons. It can be between 2 and 4. It's not really going to make a big difference in the length of the fight in terms of just how the rate at which you deal damage to them, because we're going to damage them all at once with the Judgment Staff here. The number of Piscodemons does affect, though, what kind of chance they have at, you know, doing a hit that almost kills your fighter or something along those lines. So 3 being in the middle is sort of average case there. And we've obtained the crown. The crown goes to Astos. At this point in time, if we had bothered to spend the time to go to talk to him before doing any of this quest, he would have seemed like a nice guy. Astos is just a king with a castle out here into the northwest, not hurting anybody. But when we take the crown to him, I have a feeling he'll reveal his true identity to us. Ood Sigma approaching the Piscodemon fight. Zombie Ghoul. Anything undead, well, most of the undead stuff is going to stun you in some way or another, so we got to keep an eye out for those during this run. Alright, 4 Piscodemons for Ood Sigma. Not really doing all that much damage, and there goes the Judgment Staff, so I think we're doing okay. GreenCleric getting molested by these ghasts. Trying to get away. Half his party stunned. Yeah, especially in the early game, it can be kind of random, so definitely don't think that just someone has a lead, even if it looks like a substantial one like this. I mean, this kind of swing will happen all the time, where someone will come back from being several minutes behind. It doesn't even take a mistake, sometimes just really bad RNG will do it. But GreenCleric is out of the worst of it here, and hopefully he can get into the castle. He's got another encounter. Yeah, Ood Sigma's going to make it out of this marsh cave before GreenCleric gets in the door. Oh, they're just at the same time. Here we are in the Western Keep. Astos' castle. You bring his crown back to him. And he completely loses his marbles. Here we go. Physical attacks aren't really going to do much against him, but the magic attacks, like this Judgment Staff here, are going to hopefully wipe him out. I think 2 times. You can do it optimally with 2 Judgment Staffs. Usually you need a little help. I don't know what the numbers are. That's probably not enough. Oh, it is enough. It's just enough. So that is an exceptionally good and not all that common outcome, I think. I think that is much better than the fight usually goes there. Just 2 Judgment Staffs to wipe him out is pretty good. And Ood Sigma, let's see, he's going to have a hard time getting a better round than that. $117, yeah, see, that wasn't a crit. The magic in this game, it can do a normal amount of damage or it can do a souped up amount of damage, which you can look at as the magic, you know, hitting or critting. Alright, he took him out in 1 round. It was a bit slower. I think that was 1 round, right? It was a bit slower than GreenCleric's fight. But the lead is really, I would say, 1 or 2 random encounters difference right now, so pretty similar. So the Crystal Eye was stolen from Matoya the Witch, who lives in a cave to the north of the town where we started. She fortunately does not turn out to be a total jerk when you return to her the item she's looking for, unlike Astos. The Ghasts, though. Alright, he gets away. Not going to make a visit back to Elfland. Yeah, one of the nice things about this version of the game is that you don't spend a lot of time going back to town to replenish stuff and to upgrade equipment and to get your next spells and things like that. The town visits are really infrequent. Shark encounter. I don't know how it gets up on the deck of the ship. Well, let's just run away and leave the shark up here to dry out. And we'll come back later and he won't be a threat. Does it stun? No, it misses. Looks like GreenCleric is into Matoya's cave. With Sigma deciding to take out the Sahagins. Again, not too far behind. I'd say he lost a little bit of time. Alright, GreenCleric does manage to get away. So with the Jolt Tonic, we make our way back to the Elf Prince. He's been put under a curse, or a spell of some kind, by Astos. And even though we've wiped out Astos, we do still have to undo his work. But that's going to give us the key. The key will open up a couple doors in areas that we've been to so far. At this point in the game, you're meant to backtrack to several of the places that you visited once you've gotten the key, and you'll be able to get into some locked doors. The most notable thing, though, the thing that's necessary for progression in the game, is that you pick up the explosives that that you take over to the Dwarf Cave to blow your way out of this pond here. There's a little isthmus. I said peninsula earlier, but it's an isthmus that you're going to blast open over to the west here with that. So we've got the Mystic Key. In no versions of the speedrun is it really worth it at this point to take this key and go and pick up any of the equipment that's in any of the dungeons. Like in the Marsh Cave, there's some stuff. In the Dwarf Cave, there's some stuff that you do get in the NES version with the key. This use of the key right here from GreenCleric is right along the way, and it gives him some equipment that he can use to do the equipment glitch.
Hello.
Hey guys.
And hello. Shinbreaker7 here.
Yeah, sorry we're a little late. I just got home.
Yeah. Yeah, I had 9 Central, not 9 Eastern in my calendar. So, sorry for being late, but looks like we are doing the Judgment Staff menu. The Judgment Staff, the Thieves Armlet menu on Udzigma size. We are morphing the Mithril Hammer into Thieves Armlets that allows us to run more effectively for this portion of the run. The Thieves Armlets give us higher speed, and then we actually put on multiple equipment slots because the equipment glitch lets us do that. And so we'll be able to more effectively run from battles. You'll see it if we get in these sea battles right here, we'll get away from them a lot more quickly.
Yeah, it helps raise the agility of our characters, which raises their chances to run in combat. It also gives us a higher chance to act first in combat as well. So it's kind of a no-brainer upgrade for this route.
And there are 3 different points we'll be upgrading equipment strictly to increase our speed. So that's the first time we're doing it.
So So they put one copy on each of the 4 characters on 3 of their slots. If you're looking carefully, you'll notice there's actually 4 armor slots. There's also a shield slot, but it's actually a little risky to be trying to equip pieces of armor on the shield slot, as the game can get a little screwy with it and it may cause a soft lock if you happen to put the wrong piece of equipment on that slot. So there's only one point in the run where we've determined there's a safe item we can equip on that slot, and otherwise we leave the slot blank.
And as Almacia is asking if it's okay to ignore class limits, and absolutely it is with the equipment glitch. For the item you're glitching to, the item you're originally using for the glitch, however, does require you to be a class capable of equipping that item. That actually comes into play is the entire reason we have the warrior in our party. Our next equipment glitch will be using an item called the steel gloves to get a very powerful sword called the barbarian sword. And the steel gloves can only be equipped by the warrior, so you will see him in the party strictly for that one glitch. Because actually our thief is going to be our highest damage dealer, because without equipment restrictions, he has the highest DPS because he gets the most hits in per attack.
Yeah, he's actually our strongest damage dealer over the course of this run, equipment and the levels of our character. So it looks like, if I'm getting myself caught up quickly, it looks like Sigma's slightly ahead.
Yes, pass him up slightly there, but once again, a lead of this size is completely inconsequential at this point in the game.
We've seen quite a few runners in this tournament make up multiple minute deficits over the course of the final dungeon, just due to the way the game has treated them with RNG.
Yeah, I personally was in a race earlier this week where I was ahead by about 3 minutes, and then the person racing me died, and about 10 minutes later they passed me. The game can just it can choose to give you very good luck and choose to give you very bad luck. That's one of the things that makes it such an enjoyable race game. That's also something that makes it kind of a frustrating game for just grinding out PBs. But that being said, Sigma here has been grinding out PBs and got himself a world record just earlier this week, wasn't it?
Yeah, I believe so. It's a new, I don't remember how many days ago it was, but he got it, I think, just before his previous race. And I've actually had some casual races with Sigma, and he's been beating me lately. So he's actually a very strong competitor here. And I was actually in the same group with GreenCleric early in this tournament, and he gave me a pretty strong race before he unfortunately wiped to white dragons in the final dungeon.
And one thing about the tournament is, well, race to race, run to run, you'll have your RNG, your luck, be a very, very big determinant of how an individual race goes. Across the time span of an entire tournament, those little bits of, better execution that save you 2 or 3 minutes in the run, just an execution, start to show up, and you'll see more and more of the top runners who have the best execution. They're going to have the most consistently good times, and as we get further on this tournament, you're going to see better and better times, even with the very high luck aspect to this game.
So what we see on Sigma's stream here is he stopped over in Melmond after he got out through the canal, and purchased the steel gloves and used the equipment glitch to turn that into a barbarian sword for each member of his party. So I mean, normally the only character that can actually wield this is the warrior, and you would normally only find this item in the bonus dungeon exclusive to this PSP version. But thanks to the equipment glitch, we can actually obtain this in a much easier manner and put it on each of our characters, giving them extreme damage output, such that they can one-shot nearly any enemy except for many of the bosses.
But in fact, there are only 2 bosses in this game that we cannot ever defeat in a single cycle in this 80% category. Most of our bosses will be single cycle. We're actually going to be doing a one-shot kill, most likely on the next boss here in a minute, to kind of show off the power of the sword. Now, Sigma is now on the 3rd floor of the Cabinet of Earth. This is your first really dangerous spot in the game. There are enemies that can, it's called paralocking your party. It's a stun lock where your party members are all paralyzed and get re-paralyzed and get trapped for minutes. But even worse are these cockatrices right here. Cockatrices can petrify you, and there's a chance of them just in 4 hits paralyzing your entire party. Game over. There's nothing you can do about it. So generally in a race, we like to save before going on this floor. On a PB attempt, we may not do that because the odds of it happening are fairly low, but in a race, you always will take it a little safe. Here we see Sigma attacking the vampire boss. 1 hit, gone. Also on this floor is our first unrunnable encounter, and we're hoping not to see them, but if we run into Pisco Demons here, it's an encounter that you cannot run from. And unlike in later Final Fantasy games, when you can't run from a battle, there's nothing that tells you you can't run from it. It just looks like you failed that run attempt. You might try to run, and actually, Cleric's fighting them right now. But there's nothing to actually tell you, so you just kind of you have to learn. One of the hard things about learning this game is memorizing which battles you can and cannot run from. And the Pisco Demons will show up here, and they show up a whole lot also in the Cavern of Ice later. Now you'll notice on Sigma's screen, he's fighting them, and instead of using the Judgment Staff, he's attacking them. At 3 Pisco Demons, that's about the point at which Judgment Staff or attacking is going to take about the same amount of time with the long animation on Judgment Staff. But when you throw in the time it takes to change your menu to equip the Judgment Staff, it would be quicker in that case just to go ahead and attack because it gets all the attacks queued up already. And he's doing it same here with 4 enemies just because he doesn't want to spend a few seconds going on his White Mage and Black Mage and equipping the Judgment Staff as an item. Or selecting it as an item, rather. And you'll notice that we killed the vampire, we grabbed this item, this Star Ruby, and then we turn around. This is one of the more annoying fetch quests of the game for most of us. The room right behind the vampire leads on toward where we need to go. Unfortunately, we need an item to open a path there called the Earth Rod. To get that, we have to hand that Star Ruby to a giant so we can get to a sage who will give us the Earth Rod so we can come back. So we actually have to go through these 3 floors of the Cavern of Earth 3 times.
Oh, I see Sigma chose several emotes for his party name. He told me he was thinking of doing that. So it looks like Sigma's now heading back out of the Marsh Cave, but he was getting quite a few unrunnables on the way out, which were just slowing him down. I mean, in many cases, a lot of the encounters in this game are just there to slow us down. There can be ambushes by enemies, there can be preemptive attacks by enemies, and the RNG of this game can play a wild factor in how many of these races played out, as many people may have seen in previous races.
Just today, we've been talking a lot in the Discord about it. We have a runner who just made a hack for the game that gives you no random encounters, and the best we can figure, you can finish this game in under an hour if you turn off random encounters. So you're talking 30-40 minutes of game play is just trying to escape from random encounters that you don't want to fight. So it's a very, very big deal in this game.
I mean, on the other hand, they do provide a certain function for this run as well. I mean, the more encounters you get into, especially certain encounters, can raise the experience levels of our party, and they will play a factor at a certain point of the run.
So Sigma's at the Sage's Cave now, so he's going to go get that Earth Rod. We need to continue down the rest of the way through the Cavern of Earth.
Looks like Cleric's just getting some gargoyles, which are not particularly dangerous to his party, but they can occasionally be difficult to run from, like many of the other enemies. Sigma getting shadows.
Something we don't always talk about a lot, too, is with our party members. you have somewhat random rolls on all of your stats for each of your party members whenever you level up. So that comes into play very visibly later on in the game. For our Black Mage and our Thief, we are worried about their hit points toward the end of the game. We might have to buff their hit points. The other thing that gets leveled up randomly is your agility. So you might find yourself with a party that is just bad at running. It can be very, very big hindrance to the game. You'll just have a playthrough where you just can't seem to run from any battle you usually would be able to because you can fail runs. And that is something that we just, at this point, have no control over. So these shadows that Sigma's come across several times there, they have a 7 in 8 chance of giving you a preemptive attack, which is great, but a 1 in 8 chance of giving you an ambush, which is bad. But overall, we don't mind running into them. Looks like Cleric just got away from some himself.
Alright, so we see Sigma heading back towards the cave now. Looks like Cleric just picked up the Earth Rod, so he's going to also start making Cavern of Earth. Sigma's nearly about to enter at this point. So now that we have the Earth Rod, we can actually proceed to the final floors here. So we're going to go down all 5 floors. The first 3 floors are going to play out exactly the same as they did last time, but instead of turning back at where we fought Vampire, we'll just continue on to the end of the floor.
Forsyth, you may need to refresh your Sigma screen. He's actually already past the Vampire room on my end.
I will do that. Give me a second.
On my end, he's just now opening the path that you need that Earth Rod for. And he gets an unfortunate cockatrice ambush with 5 cockatrices. So far, okay, he had enough not petrified and he should be safe now. He's going to try to run. He's got lucky 5 attacks, none of them petrified any of his characters. Then he gets the Pisco Demon encounter again. We don't like the Pisco Demon encounter because it takes a lot of time, but the nice thing about it is it's one of the few completely safe encounters. We don't really need to worry about getting paralyzed or petrified or poisoned or anything. We can get out of it.
Alright, I think I'm caught up. It looks like Sigma's on the 4th floor right now.
Yes, he's just about near the stairs.
Cleric getting an ambush from these Cobras, which aren't particularly dangerous, but any ambushes are unwelcome as they just slow us down.
Cobras also can poison your characters, and poison isn't a very big threat to us, but it does require us to do an extra menu to use antidotes. And Sigma is healing, rather not healing, saving before this fight with Lich. Lich has a chance to cast a spell called Blazara, which if he does will pretty much guaranteed wipe your entire party, because our parties are incredibly underleveled. We have high-powered equipment, but we have no magic defense. So if you cast Blazara, it'll almost certainly wipe out the entire party. So we always save before this battle. And Sigma gets through there no problem.
So yeah, I mean, while we're rather overpowered for the relative level of our party, we're unfortunately still vulnerable to quite a few things, including the Blazar attack here, and many statuses and large packs of enemies can still pose dangerous to us, even though we have all this equipment.
And we will be vulnerable to magic attacks for most of the run. It's about the hour 10, hour 15 mark before we get any kind of magic defense. So until that point, we are vulnerable to magic spells. There's a little video playing showing one of the Earth Gift Shrine opening up. Every time you defeat a Fiend, a bonus dungeon opens up that you can go complete. But that takes a great deal of time, and we already get the great equipment from it anyway through the equipment glitch.
So now that Sigma's defeated the Lich, the first of the elemental fiends, his next goal is going to be to make his way to Crescent Lake. There's a circle of sages there, and one of them, now that we've defeated the Lich, will award us with a canoe, which is an important item we need to reach a couple destinations, including the Cavern of Earth, which we'll be stopping into on our way to try to get the airship.
The Cavern of Ice.
I'm sorry, Cavern of Ice, that's right.
Nebulous, if you want to play this game someday, you absolutely should. The emulator works really well if you don't have a PSP. It's a lot of fun and easy to learn.
He's in the tournament, Chip.
Oh, sorry. Said I got to play this game. Oh, you're talking about Blaster Master. I was going to say it. Probably seen him around. Okay. Well, for anybody who doesn't run this game, super easy to learn. The first time I saw the run, I decided I wanted to try it. And from watching the tutorial run to completing my first run was maybe 3.5 hours.
Okay, so Sigma's nearly to Crescent here. He's got to walk around this lake to reach it because we don't have anything that can let us cross these water tiles. But thankfully, what we need to cross the water tiles is right in the town itself. Cleric's now out of the Cavern of Earth, and he's going to make his way to his ship and head over to basically where Sigma is right now. Sigma getting an encounter, I think, on the last possible tile before entering, which we've discovered is a particularly infuriating thing in this speed run.
So we're buying 40 ethers. That'll fuel our magic for the run. We're also going to buy a Mithril Axe, which can be equipped by our warrior. He's going to use that to glitch black garbs onto our thief and to our black mage. Since only the warrior can equip that axe right now, we're only going to glitch it onto those two characters. And so our best runners now are going to be our black mage and our thief.
It's not possible with our party setup to actually equip that black garb on our warrior. But our warrior can use that item to glitch it onto the other 3 characters. Since the warrior is only adjacent to 2 of the other characters, we choose to glitch it onto only 2 of them, as the third one would require a formation change, and many runners, myself included, don't judge it to be worth the time lost spent menuing to do that.
And Sigma in a frustrating ambush, 8 enemies, all of which can poison. So it's going to take a lot of time. And he's going to have to use an antidote. Although he might choose not to, it's up to him at this point. We actually need our warrior and our thief to die fairly soon. And he's going to go ahead and use the antidote, but we're going to, we talked about earlier, we have not been healing our warrior and our thief very much, simply because we do need them to die for a grind that's coming up. So we've been keeping them under a certain amount of hit points, hoping that they would die later on in a single mass attack from an enemy. Now it looks like Sigma might be having some slight internet issues.
Yeah, we see them too. Having just some skips, but otherwise he's still plugging along.
That's it exactly, Dicey. Sigma is a renowned cheater in Final Fantasy 1. No, he's just having some internet issues, but everything looks to be going great on his end right now. More encounters than he'd like, but that's Final Fantasy 1 in a nutshell. Meanwhile, Cleric is going to get himself a canoe. So Sigma goes ahead and saves, and he goes into the cavern of ice. Simply because there are a lot of different kinds of encounters here that can choose to destroy you. We have paralyzing enemies. We have unrunnable Pisco demons. We have petrifying enemies, the cockatrices. We have white dragons. We have dark wizards. We have mind flayers. There's all kinds of bad that can potentially happen in this dungeon. So we always want to save before we go into it.
I mean, it's not absolutely required to be saving here, but it is definitely in the interest of the runners to be saving, particularly in a race setting.
Yes.
And in many cases, you can just trade. You can trade a little time just for some peace of mind and safety. So, I mean, it takes only a handful of seconds to save, but you can lose many, many minutes to encounters if you happen to wipe to them or get extremely unfortunate petrifications or full party paralysis. So a lot of the runners will just have to weigh that benefit and then decide if they need to save or not.
And he gets a white dragon ambush, and he gets lucky. They so far have not cast any spells on him. Okay, he gets lucky, and both white dragons attack both turns. They do have the potential to wipe out your party. White dragons are by far the most dangerous enemies in here.
Now, they are a runnable encounter, but if you fail to run from them or have difficulty running from them, that can definitely prove problematic. So it is typically a safer thing to try to attack them if you encounter them and it's not a preemptive scenario.
He also ran into some dark wizards earlier, which generally are super easy to run from. The greatest threat with them is an ambush because they can cast Viraga and wipe your party. Then Sigma gets himself a Spectre ambush, so these guys can paralyze. They also have are difficult to run from. So it looks like he's just going to go and Judgment Staff them to be safe. Meanwhile, over on Cleric's screen, he has also a Wraith Spectre ambush with the same threat, except he's right now down to just a white mage standing. So we gotta hope that she makes it. His warrior...
Cleric took a bit of a risk here. I mean, when his warrior got petrified, I mean, there will be a level grind shortly, so petrification is actually what he wants for his character, either that or death, before we get to there. But the risk of doing that is you lose one of the characters that can act in every combat round, on all the random battles you get on the way there. So he's choosing specifically not to use... Oh, now he's going to use the needle. Yeah. So he apparently learned his lesson and doesn't think it's worth a risk at this point.
Yeah, generally that early in the cavern, I will usually gold needle them. Later in the cavern, I probably would leave them petrified. But he's fairly early on yet. And Sigma is just now getting to the grind fight. So this first turn, he's going to defend with all 4 characters. And he's wanting the Evil Eye to cast Thundara to kill both his thief and his warrior. Unfortunately, he casts Gaze, and he casts it twice against the white mage. Missed both times against the white mage. At this point, he just needs that thief to die. Okay, he does right there. Now he's going to get out of the battle. He's probably going to go and heal up just for safety's sake. After grabbing his Levistone. And then he's going to grind his white mage's black mage using this tile that always has the Evil Eye on it. He's going to grind until he's level 18 plus 1 more battle. That's going to be about 7 or 8 battles. And that's just because they need to be level 19 to learn some spells later. So we're going to get enough experience that the guaranteed fights between now and when we need to learn the spells will get them to level 19. Meanwhile, Cleric is making up a lot of time. This second half of the Cavern of Ice went spectacularly well for him.
Yeah, Max, to answer your question, the reason we want the Warrior and the Thief dead at this point is that the White Mage and the Black Mage will be grinding. We will be grinding on this fight to gain them experience, to raise their level to 18 at this point in the fight. We ultimately want to get them to level 19 by the end of the Cavern of Earth so that they can, when we class change, they'll be able to actually purchase the spells in the shops along the way. So yeah, by having them down, each of these characters gets twice as much experience as they would if all 4 characters were up.
And Cleric is now doing the grind. He made up a lot of time in the Cavern of Ice there.
Cleric is unfortunately a little low on his health, though, so it might be a little risky in the event that the Evil Eye happens to act first in one of these combat rounds. It might wipe his party.
Yeah.
But it's a low chance to happen, but it may happen, so it's something to keep an eye on.
It has low chance, but if he cast Thundara right now, it would wipe out his party and give him a game over. That's why most of us choose to go ahead and heal after the first round. Meanwhile, Sigma, done with the grind, is working his way out of the Cavern of Ice. Oh, and Cleric has an unfortunate encounter while grinding for the Mind Flayers, but he's able to escape. The Mind Flayers are one of the really dangerous encounters. They have a spell that they can cast called Mind Blast that has a chance of paralyzing your entire party. And their physical attack has a chance of casting instant death. So they are actually extremely dangerous enemies, both for Paralock and for instant killing. This is not the same Sigma. Also, one of our runners, Zelnus, is not Zelna.
So now that Sigma got out of the cave, we're using the Levistone that we picked up where we were grinding, and we're heading over here to this desert to raise the airship. It's been buried underneath this desert. So after a short cutscene, we'll have it, and it's by far the fastest transportation method we have available throughout this run. And while we're in the air, we're not subject to random encounters. So it's one of the biggest boons in terms of speed, just for getting around.
And Sigma's going to be working his way down to the Citadel of Trials. He's probably going to stop and do a safety save soon after he lands. Let's see if he does. Yeah. There is a very low chance of getting killed by an enemy here called a Sandworm. Not that rare an enemy, but it will rarely cast a spell called Earthquake, which can cast instant death on the entire party. And he's having a spectacular walk so far to the Citadel Trials. Looks like he had a 2 encounter right at the very end of it. Looks like it's going to be a 2 encounter walk to the Citadel. That's very, very, very good.
Sigma's on the second floor now of Citadel of Trials. It's a little bit of a maze here with teleporters that walk in. In many of the rooms, there's only one teleporter, so there's only one path. But in some of the rooms, there are multiple teleporters, and if you happen to walk into the wrong one, it will warp you back to the start of this level. If you walk into the correct one, you'll just continue along the path. Each of these runners knows which of these teleporters to go in, but for those that are new to this run, when given a choice of teleporters, you want to go to the lowest one available in any given section, because that's actually the correct teleporter.
Sigma's running into a lot of mind flayers with large groups, but fortunately none of them are ambushes. Those encounters as ambush encounters are extremely dangerous. Because even if they don't successfully pull off a Paralock, their physical attacks have instant death attached to them. So they're very, very scary enemies. Also running across these Nightmares. Nightmares, this is a spike tile, we will be fighting them twice because of grabbing an item up here. Nightmares, we can run from them. It's very, very difficult to at this point in the game, though, so we just choose to kill them. Now, the reason we're in the Citadel Trials is for three things. One is an item called the Rat's Tail. It's a quest item that will allow us to do the class upgrades later in the run. And the other two reasons are an item called the Healing Staff and one called the Gauntlets. Both of those are going to be used for equipment glitches later to give our White Mage a great deal more magic power so that we can do our healing on the final boss with a lower level healing spell, so we only have to level her to level 19 instead of level 33.
Sigma getting a Mind Flayer ambush here, which could be really dangerous.
Oh, he gets Paralocked. This could be really bad.
I believe his last save was before the desert.
Yes.
We'll have to see if he can get out of this or if he wants to preemptively just reset. If he can get out of this, he can very easily escape or possibly use his Judgment Staff to clear this pack. It's just a matter of whether or not they get lucky. And these Mind Flayers also do have an attack which can one-shot our party or basically just insta-kill our party members.
As we've seen, it's already happened twice. He's going to try to run, and he gets away. That was probably the scariest Mind Flayer encounter I've ever seen that did not end in a party wipe. That was frightening.
I think lucky for him, they can actually stack their paralyzed attack, because if they're already all paralyzed, using a Mind Blast will miss on all characters.
And the Mind Blast itself has fairly low accuracy. So he's got very unfortunate in that in those three Mind Blast attacks, they were able to actually paralyze the entire party. Usually that wouldn't happen. It has about a 25% hit rate. But even with that, he had a pretty dang good Citadel Trials overall. Meanwhile, GreenCleric is dealing with the Nightmares, so he's also making good time.
And you may have wondered why we parked so far away from the Citadel. That's actually the nearest landing spot that is available for us. It is possible to actually also sail to the Citadel using the ship, but this route ditches the ship pretty much as soon as we get the airship, and we just use that to run around instead. There was a slightly older route that used to sail to the shrine, because you can actually land much, much closer to the shrine if you're sailing there.
Unfortunately, it does require a great deal of sailing, and combined with the slower speed of the boat and the map navigation after getting the airship being more efficient, we decided that it is slightly advantageous to just land further away the long walk twice rather than take the boat. There was a lot of testing used to determine that, because for a long time we did not think that was the case.
I mean, your risk. The other option is, I mean, if you land there, you have to walk and risk a bunch of encounters while you're walking, or you can risk a bunch of sea encounters, which can tend to be more dangerous and much higher chance to slow you down. So it's honestly just the route. The currently believed optimal route is to just ditch the ship as soon as we get the airship and do that instead.
Alright, so now we're going to make a few stops to get some spells. So first going to Melman, and we're going to learn Hilara, which is a full party medium strength healing spell. And we're also going to learn Teleport. Teleport's a little different than the exit spell or the warp spell seen in both this and later Final Fantasy games, instead of taking you to the world map, it takes you to the previous floor you were on. If you're on the first floor of a dungeon or a town, it will then take you to the world map. But it's a little more versatile, and we will be using it later on, both to exit the world map and to back up in a dungeon. We're also swinging by the Elf Village to learn Haste. Haste is very different in this game than in later games. Unlike later Final Fantasy games with the active time battle system, this one has simple, turn-based, almost D&D style turns. What your speed and agility give you is a higher chance of going earlier in the turn order, and more importantly, for the purpose of using haste, is it gives you more hits per attack. If you look above our characters' heads, whenever they make a physical attack, it'll show a number: 3 hits, 5 hits, 7 hits. Haste will double that number, which we'll use for boss fights. And Forsyth, you want to talk about the lava tiles?
Sorry, I walked away for a second to deal with my cat. You'll notice Sigma talking or walking over a bunch of lava tiles. The advantage of the lava tiles here is, well, they damage our party member 1 health for every step they take, but there is no risk of encounters on a lava tile. So it is considerably faster to walk over them or to maximize your path, such that you're walking over as many as possible to reduce the encounter rate that you can have in this dungeon. And Sigma's already on the bottom floor already, and I didn't see if he had any early encounters, but he hasn't had any that I've seen.
I think he had 2 encounters early on.
Yeah, the encounters are more likely to be early on, when there's not quite as much lava right at the start of the dungeon.
And 2 encounters
is a perfectly acceptable number that you're looking for in a run like this.
0 is ideal. Sometimes you get 4 or 5, and that's very frustrating.
Yeah, you probably won't see more than 4 for most runners unless they get particularly unlucky.
And Cleric definitely making up some time overall here. He is now Mount Golg. So looks like he actually had a gold split for getting his airship.
So Cleric is actually getting one. Actually, he just had an encounter with a fire hydra, which is one of the few enemies that is particularly dangerous if we don't heal our party at some point throughout this dungeon. There's enough tiles here of lava that if we step over all of them, it will probably reduce our party to 1 health, and they'll be subject to fire hydra's blaze attack or something similar to that. But so long as they take a save somewhere, usually on maybe this floor or perhaps the floor before this, they should have plenty of health to successfully weather any random encounters that come our way. Cleric's already on the bottom floor now. He's just going to head down here. There's no more lava after this point, so he just walks over here, deals with this last random encounter, and then he's going to head up and take on Marilith, which Sigma just took down a minute ago.
And Sigma buys a fairy bottle, which is a plot item, and he also buys a number of Giant's Tonics. Giant's Tonics increase your hit point pool for 1 battle by 200 points. That is an item you'll most likely be using in the final boss fight. But if we're very lucky, we will not be. As I said earlier, we have some randomness to our levels. Our Black Mage and our Ninja, I guess Black Wizard and Ninja now that we have our party upgrades, we need to keep a close eye on them and see how many hit points they have. You want them to have, the Ninja you want to have over 300 hit points, and the Black Mage probably about 275 to 300 in a race before you would choose not to Giant's Tonic them for the final battle, simply because the final boss has some very powerful full party attacks that you need higher hit point pools to survive. If the boss is doing 280 hit points of damage and attack, and your maximum hit points is 260, well, you're going to have a bad day. So we have to have the option to increase their hit point pool and heal them up greater than normal maximum in the final battle. Now he's just got a plot item called the Oxyale using that fairy bottle, and he's going to be able to go to the Sunken Shrine to deal with the next fiend, as the Fiend of Water or the Kraken. something I've always admired about Sigma, watching him run, he has just such clean map movement.
Yeah, after doing this enough times, it becomes pretty much a memorization. Easy to find. You just look for a key landmark or something, and you just pick a path and go. So I want to put Cleric. He's maybe a minute behind right now. Maybe not even a minute.
Probably a little more than a minute, because he still has to go to Gaia and do the cutscene. But yeah, he's not very far behind.
He's not far behind, and with the way this game works, that's a lead of a minute is not anywhere near enough for Sigma to be comfortable at this point. So we see Sigma here entering the sunken shrine. Gaia, now that we have that, we can breathe underwater. Head down to this underwater shrine and start making our way there. We have 2 objectives while we're here. The first is to pick up an item called a key item called the Rosetta Stone that we're going to need to access one of the later dungeons that's coming up after this. And then at the very bottom of the shrine, heading in the other direction, is the next fiend that we need to take down, Kraken. But they're located on 2 opposite ends of the dungeon. So first we head to the Rosetta Stone because it's a lot closer to reach. And then using the new teleport spell we just bought, we can actually port immediately back to where the start of the dungeon, and then start heading the other direction.
So Sigma running to, unfortunately, 2 of the 3 unrunnable encounters in the dungeon back to back, with this Hagen Prince Chief combination and the ghosts. The other unrunnable encounters are going to be water elementals. And that's the big swing factor in this dungeon. There's not really many dangerous encounters. You do have the Water Naga, if you are not healed up, can cast Thundara on the party and be dangerous. But for the most part, your threat here is just the time loss from unrunnable encounters.
Yeah, this is actually one of the easiest dungeons in terms of encounters. I mean, none of the encounters we encounter here already. We just they just waste time, and in a race, time is your worst enemy.
So here we use teleport for the second time, actually, but you see, instead of doing the world map, it just takes a bit of previous floor. So let's go to the point where our route split between going for the boss and going for the key item, and now we go for the boss.
Sigma at this point is looking just to dodge the 3 different unrunnable encounters, which we see one of them here on Sigma's side. We see on one of them side. There's also a pack of water elementals that can show up here, which are unrunnable. There is one formation where they appear with another enemy called formation is actually runnable. So if they happen to see that, they will try to run from that.
So Sigma is about to do one of the more complicated item menus of the game after he deals with another unrunnable encounter. He's getting a lot of them, and this is a good chance for GreenCleric. But Sigma's about to get an item called the Light Axe. He's going to do a kind of complicated menu. He's going to be using that Light Axe to put survival vests on all of his characters. But he will also, on the helmet and the glove spots on his white mage, be putting on lordly robes glitched from the healing staff. Those lordly robes will give the white mage greater magic power. Good lord, he's got more Sahuagins. Greater magic power, which will allow her to heal for more in the final boss fight, and also give her more powerful judgment staff attacks for the final dungeon, because there are certain enemy groups that only she'll be able to one-shot. The survival vest, once again, just gives us greater agility and allows us to more easily run in battles and give us sooner turn orders.
And Shinbreaker mentioned that we put the Loreley robes only on the white mage. There's actually a specific reason we don't put it on the body slot or the armor slot there, as characters that have it equipped on that slot, it will trigger a regeneration animation at the end of a combat round, and actually that will slow us down if it happens to get to the end of a round of combat. It's not necessary at all for us to be regenerating at the end of combat throughout most of this run, so it would just slow us down.
Cleric closed most of his lead just now from having a better encounter luck here. He's already at the equipment menu that Sigma just recently finished.
And he's only one floor behind Sigma, but it's a long floor. And this is the third of the 4 fiends that we have to fight before we can head to the final dungeon. The strategy for Kraken is pretty much the same as any of the other ones. We're just going to use our barbarian swords and try to slice through them as quickly as possible. And it should be less than 1 round.
Yeah, Kraken is the least dangerous of the 4 fiends in this version of the game.
He is one of the most dangerous in the NES version of the game, though. GreenCleric got an encounter with ghosts over here, but there just happens to be 5 of them, so his only real option to end this in 1 combat round is to use the Judgment Staff. If there's usually 4 or less, you have the option to use a Barbarian Sword instead. And this is the Water Elemental encounter. I think Lone One is unrunnable. But in the interest of saving time, since the animation for the Judgment Staff is so long, it's faster to just use our Barbarian Swords to take it out.
So Sigma is now on his way to the Waterfall Cavern. We have to go here to get a plot item called the Warp Stone. It's also where we'll be getting an item called the Ribbon, which will finally give us status immunity and elemental defense, both of which we will need later on in the run. There also is a chance of getting petrified or insta-killed here by cockatrices and pyralisks, but it's very low odds. The most frustrating thing is just it's one of the highest encounter rate areas of the game, and it's not a very small dungeon.
Cleric gets Kraken down while Sigma's trying to make his way through the waterfall cave. He's having some trouble trying to run from this nightmare combination. Now that we have the survival, it should be easier for us to run from them, but they can still occasionally be a difficult enemy to run from, and if we do that, you may see Sigma use his Barbarian Swords to get rid of them.
So this Pyralisk encounter he's up against in an ambush would be extremely scary, because the Pyralisk does have an attack that does insta-kills. So here we're going to be doing the only item dupe glitch in the game. We want every character to have ribbons. We only have 1 of them. So we're actually going to be glitching the ribbon into a weapon called the Gigantaxe, and then glitching that into more ribbons. So it's a little more complicated than some of the other item menus we've done. So the cockatrices and the Pyrolisks are kind of the enemies that we dread for a lot of the game, and then once we have the ribbon, they're harmless. So now we're taking the Rosetta Stone to Dr. Une, or none of us know how to say it, to this guy, and he teaches us a new language in about 12 seconds. So we now go to the village of Lufenia and speak to its residents so we can get the item to enter the next dungeon. Yes, actually, the ribbon does have a block animation. That's actually the reason we put it on the shield slot. We just got lucky, and that is something we add later in the game. That by chance, for some reason, has a parry animation, so it will not soft lock the game like other defensive items have a chance to do if they're on the shield slot.
Cleric got really unlucky there with his running into those Pyrolisks, and they unfortunately managed to use Gaze attack to take down 2 of his party. Oh, this could be a really dangerous situation for Cleric if he fails to run.
And he gets
away though. Yeah. That first tile when you step in that room is a spike tile with a forced encounter, and it's almost always a 9-pack encounter, usually with a combination of mummies, cockatrices, and Pyrolisks. Now that he's made it into this room, he can talk to the robot to pick up the warp cube and then pick up the ribbon here. And once he's got the ribbon on his characters, that's no longer going to be a problem getting these gaze attacks or any other petrification or poison or anything like that. So you can see a slight difference here between how quickly Sigma did this menu and how quickly Cleric did it. It's probably more a function of runner experience and familiarity with the menus, just how quickly you can get these glitches off. But as long as you take your time, you can easily glitch them. The glitch is one of the easiest things, and if anybody's considering running this game, it's a very, very easy to perform glitch. That is not something that should stop you from trying to run this game if you're interested. It's not at all hard to perform, and this is actually a very beginner-friendly speed run. One of the few things that attracted me to it in the first place about a year ago.
And that equipment glitch, sometimes you'll see a runner doing it super, super fast, and then you'll see a runner kind of messing up a lot, but you don't see many people taking it smooth and slow and messing up a lot. That's the big mistake that a lot of us, including myself, still make. Is sometimes we try to do it a little too quickly. And this is a game where you kind of learn that, doing it slow is smooth and smooth is fast. Because you don't make as many mistakes. So when you're learning the game, don't try to just completely rush through it. Take your time, get the inputs correct and together, and you'll actually find yourself going slower than just trying to blaze through it as quickly as your fingers will let you. For me, my problem is when I try to go to my character on my left, I always try to take it too quickly and mess up.
Sigma is now in the Mirage Tower. We used the chime that he picked up just a minute ago in the Lufenian town, and that allows us to enter this Mirage Tower. It's 3 floors deep. This second floor he's on is full of encounters. It's one of the highest encounter rates in the game. Not many that are particularly dangerous to us. But once again, the enemy is time and losing time. Cleric on the other hand, making the walk over, and he got a pack of Minotaur zombies, one of the unrunnables along his path. So he's forced to try to take them out with a Judgment Staff attack.
Yeah, on the Mirage Tower, there's only 2 unrunnable encounters. One is this blue dragon. It's a spike tile with it. And there's a very low chance of running into one normally. Also, if you run into a single vampire, it's unrunnable. And that's because a single vampire is still flagged as the mini-boss from earlier in the game. But groups of vampires you can run from. Now he's made his way into the Flying Fortress. The only unrunnable encounter here is the Evil Eye, the same enemy we used earlier for the grind fight. We will possibly run into air elementals. They are the only elemental that's always runnable.
Sigma's now, yeah, on the Flying Fortress. This one, 5 floors. He's currently on the 3rd floor. The 4th floor is actually an endless floor. You walk in one direction pretty much forever and never actually get out of it. But if you were to study it carefully, you would notice it's kind of a 4x4 formation, and you can reach the entrance by going either up or down in 2 corridors, and then either left or right 2 corridors. Or you could zigzag from where you enter that, and you'll reach the exit.
Yeah, the biggest thing to watch out for finding the exit here is that you need to know where you were when you get hit by an encounter. If you get a long, frustrating encounter, forget where you were, you basically have to start the room over.
Well, one other thing he could do is he could actually teleport out there, and then that would put him right back at the entrance to the floor, and he could start over if he wanted to. It would lose him a little time, but it's one way to quickly reset yourself if you get lost.
Did he heal before Tiamat? I did not see his hit points coming in. Okay, he's fine. Either.
We'll see if he did or not.
Yeah, he's fine.
Yeah, it looks like he did. He probably did before the start of the floor, as there's a 1 in 64 encounter with a rare war mech that can occur on this floor. And it's if you happen to not save, it's something that could devastate your party if you're not prepared for it.
And that Thunderbolt attack right there is why we want to heal before Tiamat. I think all of us at some point have not bothered to heal for Tiamat and had that wipe our party. So, fortunately, he did have full hit points and was able to survive that attack.
So we didn't see a war mech yet on Sigma's. Chance that Claire could get it, or there's Sigma could get it on the run out of the dungeon here. He's got to go maybe another 10-15 steps to get to the exit teleporter.
I've in my hundreds of runs, somehow I've only run across Warmech once, and that was on my gold split for Tiamat. So you know that was a perfect Skyforce I had on that day. Because we actually don't mind running into Warmech, because he gives more experience than anything else in the game does, which is good for boosting our hit point pools for the end game.
Sigma playing it ultra safe just in case he gets into a war mech. But Sigma's now defeated all 4 of the elemental fiends, and we have, now that we've restored each of the 4 elemental crystals to their glory, we're going to head to the final dungeon and use the crystals that we've restored to travel backwards in time and confront the demon Chaos at the bottom of the Chaos Shrine.
And Sigma had a pretty good run, has had a pretty good luck the last couple of splits, and Cleric had a pretty rough walk to Lefenia and back. So it looks like Sigma has grown his lead a bit, but we're coming into the Chaos Shrine, and this is where everything can change. There are lots of encounters that can wipe your party, not least of which is Chaos himself, the final boss, can just decide that you're not going to win. So there's still lots of opportunity for Cleric to catch up here.
Sigma looks to be on about a pace of 1 hour 30 right now, judging by his splits. We'll see if the RNG here helps him out or not.
So these purple worms are one of our
RNG heavy dungeon in the entire run.
I've gotten from Tiamat to finishing the game in 11 minutes before I've had it take, 20. It's this Ice Storm from the White Dragons is a very dangerous attack. If they all four decide to do it, it can wipe your party. So after he failed to run, he decided to go ahead and attack them to keep that from being a risk. And these are the same enemies he ran to the Cavern of Ice earlier that we were a little scared of, because if they had done that at that point, before he had the ribbons, it would have definitely wiped his party. Meanwhile, Cleric is about to fight Tiamat.
Sigma choosing to heal up after that, just to make sure that if he runs into another pack of them, he's well prepared to deal with them.
Because he has to worry about them, he also has to worry about green dragons and their poison gas attack. So he has a couple different enemy groups now that can do decent damage to his whole party at once. And Cleric gets through Tiamat, while Sigma gets a Death Eye. Death Eye to the end is usually about 10 to 11 minutes, so we're getting pretty close to the end of the game here for him.
So it's looking like about a 4-minute lead for Sigma, judging on their Tiamat splits.
Yeah.
So there is definitely an opportunity for 4 minutes to be made up, particularly if mistakes. In Sigma's last race, his opponent was 6.5 minutes ahead entering this part of the game, and unfortunately did not take a safety save and wiped the White Dragons that we've seen them encounter already, and his most recent save was right before the start of Tiamat. So that wiped out his entire lead. And unfortunately for Sigma, he could not capitalize on that, but it made it a much, much closer race than it probably should have been if his opponent had actually taken the save.
The Sigma gets the Ice Giga's Winter Wolf. This is the main reason you want the White Mage to have the Lordly Robes right now, is that she can, with Judgment Staff, with those Lordly Robes, she can wipe out that entire party in one spell. Otherwise, you would have to wipe out the wolves with Judgment Staff and physically attack the Ice Gigases. This is probably the scariest floor for most people on this dungeon, because there's a lot of white dragons on it typically. You see there that he actually told his Black Mage to run. That's just so that in case he got the opportunity to run before the White Mage attacked, he might still escape without having to go through the end of battle animation. Unfortunately, his run failed, but his White Mage was able to finish the battle.
Sigma was just in a combat with Earth Medusas, which can slow you down, particularly if they're in an ambush. Gaze attack that has a very long animation, and it's not particularly dangerous to us, but it wastes a lot of time.
Cleric got himself White Dragons about 3 steps into the Chaos Shrine. But overall, actually, is having a really good early shrine. We want to compare those Death Eye splits. What do we got?
Sigma's split, as far as I can see, was like a 120-150 Death Eye. So Claire looks to have made it up about a minute.
Just on that split. Yep.
Yeah, just on that one little split there. So the lead's about maybe 3 minutes at this point in time.
Lich gets off a flare. Fortunately, the Thief and White Mage survive it. Lich is, once again, the most dangerous of the 4 fiends. We have to refight all the 4 fiends at this point of the game. And with that flare, Lich is the most dangerous. Although we discovered recently, in Race with Zelnas that Tiamat can get really trolly on you.
You see Sigma on Marilith's floor now. There's not too many dangerous encounters here, and it's a pretty short floor, so he's hoping to get through it with only a handful of encounters.
I believe fire elementals are the only unrunnables on this floor.
I believe that's true. There are red dragons, but they are runnable.
And there's some fire elementals. Those are actually very rare.
There it is. That's what he's hoping to avoid at this point, because it's one of the few things that will help Cleric close the gap.
Similarly, on the Lich floor that Cleric's about to go into, the only unrunnable. So Cleric is having a kind of rough floor here, the White Dragon floor. Sigma's able to capitalize on some of the bad luck that Cleric's getting right now. Getting a lot of that lead back.
Faraga here on Marilith. It's not enough to wipe our party. It just wastes a bunch of time with a long animation.
Yeah, it's only really a threat if you didn't bother to heal your party at any point. And Cleric gets an unfortunate ambush with Chimera as they cast Blaze, which once again has a long animation time. So this floor has been really rough on Cleric. And Sigma gets a ludicrously good Kraken split. That's usually the worst floor. Looks like he had no encounters on it. That's almost certainly going to be a gold split for him on Kraken 2 there.
I mean, that's the dream at this point for Sigma, because that will almost certainly cement his lead heading into the final boss. There's Kraken floor can be one of the trolliest floors in this game, with a lot of encounters with water elementals that can slow you down. So getting out of that floor without any real encounters is a huge advantage. That's a gold split for him, so yeah. He looks to be on about a 131 pace right now. He's just got to get through Tiamat here, and then he can start the final fight.
So Tiamat here has the first use of haste. We cast haste on our ninja to double his damage output, so that on the second turn, hopefully we should be able to finish him off.
Lich using Flare over on Cleric's side, which slows him down. It's going to be hard for him to catch Sigma at this point unless Chaos proves particularly trolly with the RNG in his fight.
I will say, last night, Chaos was able to get me in a position where I had to reset. And that is always... Chaos can just decide not to let you win. So, even if... For most of us, even if we're like on a PB pace or something, unless it's really close, we'll actually usually save before the Chaos battle, even on a non-race run, just because of the odds of him ending your run are just so high.
I mean, if any of you were here this morning during the Cruel Leonis match, it pretty much decided the winner and the loser of that one.
Did we ever just
on the RNG of the Chaos fight? Sigma having some frame drops, but it looks like he took a save and has prepared his party correctly for Chaos, so we'll have to see what happens here.
So what he did, in addition to healing up and giving more ethers to the White Mage, he took the White Mage, he glitched the gauntlets into a golden staff for the White Mage to give her even more magic power, and he changed the survival vest on the body slot to either close or just unequipped it. Either way, we actually intentionally want to slow down the White Mage for this battle, because we always want her to go last to heal any damage done by Chaos. We don't want there to be any question of whether or not she goes first or last with Chaos, because we always want the attack, then the heal, the attack, then the heal. Because she will be healing every turn. Meanwhile, we're using Giant's Tonics on our Ninja and our Black Wizard. to increase their hit point pools, while the Black Mage starts casting haste on the different party members to increase their attack power. He gets perfect luck on that first turn with a physical attack. So he's probably okay now. His party is healed up, HP boosted. He's probably gonna be fine now. The most dangerous part is over.
Yeah, the first 1 and 2 turns of this fight is very, very dangerous. But it depends a lot on the HP totals of your Thief and Black Mage particularly. As if they're at low values, it can be very, very dangerous if Chaos continues to use his powerful full party attacks like Blaze, Tsunami, or Cyclone.
Yeah, so like last night in my race, he started with Blaze, then he did Tsunami, then he did Cyclone, and there was just nothing I could do. But he does do Tsunami right now on the Sigma side. Tsunami is his most powerful attack, has a long animation. And
I think Cyclone's actually stronger, and it's even longer actually.
Is Cyclone stronger? They're
I think
both
it's
really
stronger.
well. We hate both.
Neither runner wants to see that.
And it's usually Tsunami is usually followed by Cyclone. So they usually come back to back. So it's very, very common for you not quite heal enough damage off of a Tsunami hit and have the Cyclone finish you off. But it looks like Sigma's in a good spot. Actually, his warrior of all characters got low on hit points there.
That was probably the most dangerous part. Now that he survived Cyclone, though, there's not too much that Chaos can do to really slow him down, short of casting Kiraja, and this fight should be over before Kiraja gets cast.
Yes. And there it is. Oh, wait. No, sorry, that was a frame lag thing. I thought it was the ending flash.
Cleric's done with Tiamat down on the refight, so Cleric's now on the same boss. But it looks like Sigma has just finished up, unfortunately, for Cleric.
Yep. Congratulations to Sigma. And now let's see Cleric do the same thing. Look like Sigma was dropping some frames, but this time we should be able to watch the menu to see exactly what is being done here.
We have an SRL time of 1:32 flat for Sigma.
It's a very good race time.
That's a very, very solid race time, yep. Basically exactly what he's looking for.
That's still better than most runners' PBs. So,
welcome, Sigma.
Hey, what's up? That was not a bad run except for the beginning, which I don't know if you saw what happened, but I forgot to put the characters in the right order, so I wasted a minute and a half trying to figure out why my menu wasn't working.
oh my goodness.
I was too interested in naming my characters after Twitch emotes to remember to switch the Black Mage and White Mage.
That's funny.
Yeah.
The Kraken floor was something crazy.
Yeah.
Was that no encounters?
0 encounters, Kraken floor. And that was a gold split, by the way.
Yeah. that was insane. Alright, let's see how Cleric is doing over here. Looks like he made it to the first turn so far.
Yeah, I think unfortunately for Cleric, there was nothing he could do once you got that 0 encounter Kraken floor, because that pretty much cemented your lead.
Yeah, he closed a minute on the Death Eye split with you. It looked like it was going to get pretty tight there for a minute, and then he had really bad luck on the White Dragon floor after the Death Eye, and then your Kraken floor was just, the God Run floor.
Yeah. I also had another gold split. Forget which one it was. Oh, it was the entering Melmon, basically between the Mystic Key and Melmon. So anytime you can get 2 gold splits in a race, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Cleric looks to be, I think, on his 4th round. This will typically go about 6 rounds in total.
Yeah, he looks to be in really good position here. I don't think he's going to be having any trouble. I was kind of surprised that you almost lost your warrior of all people on your fight, Sigma.
Yeah, he just decided to he did the Asian tsunami and the cyclone, and my warrior had the lowest hit points of anybody, so...
Yeah, I think he got another 30 or so?
Yeah. Oh well, it's alright. Even if I had lost him...
Yeah, you were in a great position.
Fine.
And
I also
that
had
should
that
probably be it
silly-
for Chaos on Cleric side. Yep.
135.38 was his SRL time.
Well, congrats
So
to Cleric on that.
Oh, that's a good time. That's a good time. I had that one scary moment in the Citadel where I got ambushed by Mind Flayers.
Yeah, that was a very scary moment.
Sorry about the dog. So I better head out. So I'll talk to you later.
All right, congratulations.
Okay, sorry about that segment.
Thanks for having us.
All right, bye.
All right, everybody, make sure to go ahead and hop in chat and bark away the Sigma. So let's go ahead and is Cleric going to be hopping in?
Sounds like he'll join us in a second.
Okay. While we're waiting on him, we want to go ahead and thank Feasel and Speed Gaming for hosting us today. We want to thank Sigma and GreenCleric for running. And I want to thank Feasel also for hopping in and doing some commentary early on while waiting for us to, get our act together. Porsyth, I want to thank you for helping me do this commentary. And everyone make sure to follow the runners. And make sure to also stick around for the Mega Man X2 game coming up after this one.
Yeah, it should be starting in 20 minutes. We'll just have a quick interview with Cleric in a minute when he's all set. And it looks like Cleric is here now. Are you there, Cleric?
Yes, I am. Oops, hang on. There we go.
There we go. So congratulations on finishing that.
Well, wasn't the cleanest run. I think probably when I had the Pyrolisk ambush there, I was thinking, yeah, this isn't gonna go well. I honestly thought that was gonna be a wipe at that point.
That was scary. You both had some scary moments. I don't know if you... at one point, Sigma was paralocked by Mind Flayers. So we thought he was going to lose it there.
Where was that? Ice Cave or Castle?
That was in...
he was in the Citadel there. He lost to...
Citadel, yeah. Citadel.
He got paralocked and 2 of his guys died from attacks.
Yeah. So there were a few scary moments for both of y'all. But, you had a great run overall. I mean, that was a perfectly good race time you had. Just, Sigma had a little better RNG, I think, especially in that Chaos Shrine. You actually were making time up on him. You gained a minute on him on the Death Eye split, but then he wouldn't have had a 0 encounter Kraken floor.
Oi.
It was tough to recover after that point.
Yeah, that kind of sealed the deal.
Yeah, pretty much. You're gonna go through the Kraken floor. You're not gonna have a single encounter, not even water elementals or anything. That's gonna be like, yeah, you're gonna gain all that time I gained right out the window.
Yeah. When you're going against the world record holder and he's getting gold splits, it's just it's hard to catch up.
Oh, forget it at that point. Forget it at that point. Jeez.
But you did a great job at a great race, and you had a few nail biter moments that just increased the drama for all of us down here.
Oh yeah, I mean, the only thing, like, I don't think it was a bad run overall. Just a couple areas. Earth Cave was garbage. Earth Cave was complete garbage on that run. Ice Cave actually wasn't too bad. It wasn't. There wasn't anything particularly great about it, but I wasn't, aside from the Pyralisk, and there were one or two other moments. Nothing that was really terrible or anything. I mean, if anything, I wish it was a really close race because I really liked that chaos fight most of the way. But I mean, it wasn't meant to be. And I mean, when you're facing the world record holder, I mean, even with RNG, I mean, you still got your work cut out for you. So I did the best I could. I mean, put together a pretty good race time. But I mean, not on this day, not good enough.
Yeah, but you still did a great job, and you had a great showing in the tournament. I mean, first off, you had to be in the top half of the tournament just to get into the brackets.
Of course.
And then you held your own here, and you've just done a great job, and I hope you keep running and hope to see you in future tournaments.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I've played, Final Fantasy. I mean, to be honest, ever since I was 9 years old, I got the original NES card for my birthday, actually. So, ever since then, it's one of the games that's always had a special place in my heart, I guess you could say. But I played all of them, all the versions: NES, GBA, PSX, and the PSP version as well. So yeah, I definitely intend to keep running the game. I'm really interested to see how the rest of the tournament comes out. I mean, like I said, as far as speedrunning goes, I just picked up the game for the tournament because I figured it would be, a game that at least I knew, the map, stuff like that. So at least I figured give it a shot. And I mean, honestly, I'm really, really happy with how I did. And it's going to be really interesting to see the rest of the tournament because all the runners that are left, to be honest, any of them could win the tournament right now. I mean, you have a bunch of the former world record holders, current world record holders. It's going to be really interesting to see who takes it all.
Yeah, there are a bunch of great runners left. Also, me.
Yeah, well, hey, I mean, look at what's happening in the tournament so far. I mean, there's been some big upsets in the tournament so far, and I mean, every one of these races we're having, I mean, there's always that little bit of a potential for possible upset. So don't sell yourself short,
Yeah. All right. Well, I want to thank you so much for running tonight. I want to thank everybody for watching us.
Yeah, and I just want to say as well, because I know he's not here, but definitely congratulations to Sigma on that run. Like I said, always tough to go against the world record holder, but he definitely earned it tonight, and wish him all the best of the luck rest of the way.
All right. And Porside, anything you want to say?
No, I think you covered it pretty well. I just want to thank Cleric and Sigma for a great race. Thank you commentating with me. Thank you, Friedel, for commentating while we were getting set up, and then and for hosting us here on the Speed Gaming channel. And thank everybody else for watching.
All right. Well, that being said, I think I'm going to go ahead and log off. Everybody, make sure to stick around and watch some Mega Man.